First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Chris Will.
And I'm Daniella Rudolph. Thanks for joining us. If you saw Air Force One at Gainesville Regional Airport this weekend, it wasn't a trick of the eye.
Yeah, President Biden's plane landed in Gainesville on Saturday afternoon on his way to assess destruction from Hurricane Idalia. He took an aerial tour of the devastation left behind by the storm. He went on a walking tour of Live Oak and gave remarks about recovery efforts. The president focused his message on how the federal government can help Floridians recuperate.
I'm here today to deliver a clear message to the people of Florida and throughout the Southeast. As I told your governor, if there's anything your state needs, I'm ready to mobilize that support. Anything they need related to these storms. Your nation has your back, and we'll be with you until the job is done.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was absent as one of the Republican presidential candidates. He suggested that meeting with the president could hinder disaster response efforts.
Your message to Governor DeSantis today.
I don't think he's going to be there.
Do you have a message for him?
We're going to take care of Florida.
Do you agree with him that the security apparatus is strong enough?
Do you?
And speaking of the Florida governor, DeSantis is acknowledging the state's recovery efforts after hurricane's destruction.
The governor held a briefing in Perry to announce that more than 90% of households who lost power now have it restored.
We've also had points of distribution open within 48 hours, which is the fastest. I think that's even faster than we did during Hurricane Ian. And since then, they've distributed more than 500,000 meals, almost 400,000 bottles of water, and over 14,000 tarps for homeowners.
And many of those Florida homeowners are worried about a hurricane tax that could be looming over the state as hurricane season is now in high gear.
Reporter Dave Elias is in Fort Myers to tell us why Florida citizens may have to pick up the tab for private insurance companies.
It's the back of every Floridian's mind, of the rates going up for sure.
Governor Ron DeSantis warned me back in March that Citizens simply doesn't have enough money to cover its more than 1.3 million policies.
And I think, as most people know, Citizens has not been solvent. If you did have a major hurricane hit with a lot of Citizens property holders, it would not have enough to pay out.
Well, currently, Citizens has about $4.8 billion in the bank. Idalia claims are expected to take a big chunk of it, since Citizens is the largest insurer in the Big Bend area where the storm made landfall.
The analysis prior to the storm showed Citizens had more than 190,000 policies in the counties that would receive direct impacts from Idalia. If it was a worst case scenario, it would be a $72 billion loss for Citizens. That's substantial.
And while the loss isn't that great, the only way the state-run company could pay out is to charge all of us a hurricane tax.
And so that's the big issue, is we want fewer and fewer people to be in Citizens because of the problem it poses, not just for Citizens policyholders, but for Floridians everywhere.
That insurance tax could also be placed on car and renter's insurance.
There's that old adage, you get what you pay for, right? So, I'd rather pay a little more, even if there's a hurricane tax, than moving back to Ohio.
It last happened in 2004 when 10 hurricanes hit the state, and Florida residents were stuck paying off Citizens' $1.7 billion tab through 2015.
That was Dave Elias reporting. Now Floridians must deal with insurance issues after 2 major storms.
Yeah, they're asking for a special session for state lawmakers to address insurance concerns. And what would normally be a last hurrah for scallop season in Steinhatchee was a weekend full of cleanup.
As WUFT's Serra Sowers reports, there is still more to be done before tourism picks up and begins again.
Scallops and salt air. It's what the town of Steinhatchee prides itself on. But it looks a little different right now. Cleanup efforts.
Good job.
Bringing in supplies. And working together. Hurricane Idalia swept through on August 30, causing mass destruction around Florida's Big Bend. Faith and smiles all around seem to keep the survivors going.
I'm happy to help them. My husband is happy to help them. We're not looking at this as a burden. It's like, thank you, Lord, that you saved us all from total disaster. And now here we are. we're able to help each other, and we can help those who got hit worse.
The end of scallop season came early for the town of Steinhatchee due to Idalia, cutting the final charters of the summer during Labor Day weekend.
Scallop season started here June 15th, and it runs through Labor Day weekend. But this was our last big boom. Scallops were bountiful and plentiful out here. Everybody was looking forward to it, all the businesses here, because we are a tourist, we rely on tourism.
In the last few days, the Steinhatchee Baptist Church welcomed volunteers to stay in their gymnasium as they continue to restore the community. Despite the heartbreak and loss, the community says they are still filled with so much hope. Serra, Sowers, WUFT News.
Fishing charters are expected to continue in the next few weeks, even as scallop season comes to an end.
Horseshoe Beach residents are mourning their losses to Hurricane Idalia, having taken one of the hardest hits of them all.
Yeah, WFT reporter Bailey Korinek shows us the damage and how residents' Labor Day weekend looked a lot different this year.
We spoke to a family who thought their home would be safe in the hurricane. They are just one of hundreds of Big Bend residents who have lost their home last week during Idalia. The family says they don't know what the future looks like at this point.
It still hurts to see what's left.
After 7 years of refurbishment, the Childers family home in Horseshoe Beach was ready to make more memories.
Well, we had it raised, and as you can see the foundation, they put a foundation under it. So we thought we were good to go.
Idalia struck the small fishing community of Horseshoe Beach as a Category 3 hurricane. Their home was torn apart. Mark recently completed renovations to turn the former shack into his family's vacation spot. Now they sort through rubble.
It's been in my wife's family for 50 years, and it's painful to talk about, tell you the truth. It's like a member of the family, and that's what they're here, trying to find any little piece of something that, to remember the place by.
The Childers home is just one of many that were severely damaged or run down entirely by the hurricane.
Where I'm standing right now is where a house should be. This Labor Day weekend is going to look a lot different for people who normally vacation down at Horseshoe Beach. Power lines are down, businesses are scrambling to recover, and debris is everywhere.
The Horseshoe Beach Marina is another devastating example. Andrew Neal, a close friend of the owner, said he is in disbelief.
Film cannot fully describe what has happened here.
He estimates the owner is facing about $4 million worth of damage. Community members have been pitching in, trying to make a dent in the cleanup. Their shared sentiment, they will rebuild together.
It's got a piece of our hearts, for sure.
As you saw earlier, President Joe Biden and Governor Ron DeSantis took separate tours of the destruction Saturday. Biden affirmed to the residents, business owners, and public officials that the nation has their back and will be with them until the job is done. Reporting for WUFT News, I'm Bailey Korinek.
Thank you, Bailey. A small town off the West Coast takes a hard hit after Hurricane Idalia.
WUFT Samantha Sydeski gives us an inside look on damaging costs that the community is suffering, and it is millions.
Hurricane Idalia hit the town of Steinhatchee as a Category 3 hurricane. The town is known for its scallop season. Business owners are suffering financially after closing their doors for a busy holiday weekend. A local marina owner says it will take many months to get back on their feet.
Well, our marina was totally submerged about halfway up the building. All our docks have been washed away. We lost 2 boats.
Restaurants such as Krabby Dad's and Roy's were destroyed inside. With no flood insurance, they don't know how they will recover.
The town of Steinhatchee is hurting in the wake of this hurricane. I've been personally coming here since I was 4 years old, and I have never seen anything like it. Business owners and residents are scared what the future holds for this small fishing community.
The costs are still unclear. Most places on the coast are shut down indefinitely.
It's devastation on the river.
As this town relies on fishing and scalloping, people are scrambling over how to pay bills. Thankfully, people have come from all over to show their support.
Just the way everybody came together and helped each other is amazing.
Residents are in disbelief but thankful, saying it could have been much worse.
I just thank God that I really thought we were going to be blown away. I was in Hollister, and I thought the whole town would be gone, and we were blessed.
Locals say the tight-knit home feel of Steinhatchee makes it worth sticking together and rebuilding. Samantha Sydeski, WUFT News.
Business owners and residents hope to get the town ready for the next scallop season, which begins on June 15th.
If you're still looking for hurricane recovery updates, go to WUFT.org to stay in the loop.
And as recovery continues, another storm is already in the works.
WUFT's Derrah joins us now with what is going to be developing and having our current weather. Derrah, what's happening?
We'll talk about the tropics in a minute, but let's take a moment to appreciate these gorgeous skies over our stadium. Temperatures right now at 88 degrees, but it feels like 93 due to that high pressure we have in the area, bringing in that dry air and keeping those rain chances at bay. It's going to continue to feel pretty warm this evening. We're at 9 o'clock and still going to be seeing temperatures in the 80s, but we'll cool down pretty quickly as our low tonight might have some of us feeling a little bit chilly at 70 degrees. Mostly clear and comfortable skies overnight tonight. And then tomorrow, I'll talk more about what you can expect ahead. And we'll also talk about Tropical Depression 13 in just a few minutes.
And coming up, we'll be covering the arrest of a Marion County man who investigators say committed multiple crimes against children.
We'll tell you what deputies are saying about the arrest and subsequent investigation when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back to WFT News First at 5. Deputies in Marion County say a 62-year-old man committed sex crimes against multiple children. Anthony Autar was taken into custody late last week. Investigators say they received information from a child between the ages of 12 and 16 that she was sexually battered by Autar in early August. Upon further investigation, detectives say they learned that he abused other children on a number of occasions. Deputies say it's possible that Autar has victimized even more children and urge anyone who may have been abused to come forward.
Congress is back in session today, and already looming is a possible government shutdown. September is also the unofficial fall campaign kickoff. The August recess is over, and lawmakers are already deadlocked over disaster relief funding and providing more aid to Ukraine. This is all leading up to the September 30th deadline to prevent a government shutdown. For some House conservatives, the top priority remains investigations into President Biden and his son Hunter's business dealings.
Democrats and Republicans all must get on the same page about keeping the government open.
When it comes to the campaign season, a new Wall Street Journal poll has former President Trump and President Biden in a dead heat in a head-to-head matchup, while the former president is up 46 points over the nearest Republican rival. Temperatures have been on the rise this week, Chris. I've really been feeling it. How about you?
Yeah, it's been so hot outside, but there's times like this where I'm actually quite glad that we get to work inside.
Exactly.
Derrah, what can we expect for the rest of the week?
Well, we are going to see those heat indices rise tomorrow. We're expecting to see those heat indices climb near 100 degrees. I'll walk you through hour by hour how hot it's going to feel, and I'll give you a closer look at the tropics in just a few minutes.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Here's a live look at our Crystal River cam. We have a very slight breeze coming in at about 5 miles per hour out of the north, keeping those temperatures at 88 degrees, but it feels like we're in the low 90s. Now we're going to continue to feel those warm temperatures this evening, but it'll quickly cool down into the 70s and maybe even upper 60s in some spots overnight tonight. Now we'll see mostly clear skies, but tomorrow morning as you wake up, you might want to grab a jacket because it'll be only 70 degrees here in Gainesville, upper 60s to the north, and then along that coast, that onshore flow will have those temperatures feeling a little bit warmer at around 73. Tomorrow, we're really concerned about those high temperatures, high UV index, and there is a low chance of rain, so you don't need to grab your umbrella. We just really need to be watching out for those high heat indices throughout the day tomorrow. Highs in the low 90s, even reaching 96 over in Jacksonville, 93 in Gainesville, 94 in Stark, and 94 in Bronson. Here's how hot it's going to feel at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Most of us will be just 3 degrees away from 100. It'll continue to feel like we're approaching those triple digits throughout the afternoon tomorrow, and then we'll start to cool down, but not by much. It'll still be feeling like 95 degrees when most of us are getting out from school and work tomorrow. We have some dry air moving in the area, which is keeping that rain at bay, and we'll continue to see that dry area through the weekend. We have a frontal boundary approaching, which will up our rain chances as we head into Saturday and Sunday. So let me give you a quick look at the tropics. We have a couple systems we need to be watching out for. Tropical Depression 13 is forecasted to become a hurricane, but we're not worried about it making landfall just yet. And then we have two other systems that we're watching to develop in the next couple of days. So as that front approaches, those rain chances are going to climb through Saturday and Sunday, and those temperatures are going to drop down through Monday. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Derrah. When we return, a former Gator tennis legend is looking to continue his historic U.S. Open run. Former national champion Ben Shelton has a huge matchup tonight in the quarterfinals. WUFT's Bradley Shimel tells us all about it and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. I'm Bradley Shimel, and it's time to talk sports. Former Gator tennis legend Ben Shelton continues his historic run in the U.S. Open tonight, and he has quite a daunting task ahead of him. Shelton will be facing Francis Tiafoe in the quarterfinals. After defeating the number 14 ranked player on Sunday, Shelton will face the number 10 ranked player with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Shelton is the youngest American man to reach the U.S. Open quarterfinals since Andy Roddick in 2003. He'll look to keep making history tonight at 8:15 on ESPN. Florida football kicked off the 2023 season last Thursday against Utah in a rematch of last season's opener. While the Gators got the win to start last season, this year was far from the same result. The number 14 ranked Utes defeated Florida 24-11 on their home turf. Florida quarterback Graham Mertz had a quality outing in his Gators debut, completing over 70% of his passes while throwing for 333 yards. Although he was disappointed by the outcome, Florida football head coach Billy Napier remains confident in his staff and believes better execution is key for success.
Now, I think the key to the drill here is that we don't waste this experience. And I think just having met with a leadership group, I think we're in great position to do that. We can't waste a minute blaming or complaining or sulking or thinking about the past. We have to learn, we have to change, we have to adapt.
The Gators will look to win their first game of the season Saturday night when they host McNeese State. It was a rainy, messy weekend for high school football, but still lots of great games to get you caught up on. First, we traveled to Citizens Field where Gainesville hosted Leon County in what was a muddy and gritty affair. The Hurricanes, pictured in purple, were able to get a few drives going early, but a few costly turnovers kept them from putting points on the board. Meanwhile, DeRoderick Hepburn was an absolute force for the Lions, scoring 2 touchdowns in the first half and leading Leon to a 21-0 victory. The Lions remain undefeated on the year, while the Hurricanes dropped to 0-2. And over in Newberry, where the Panthers faced the defending 1R state champion Hawthorne Hornets. This one got out of hand early as Hawthorne scored 21 points in the first quarter. Quarterback C.J. Edgrum led the way once again as his team took home a 40-10 victory to remain undefeated. They look to keep it rolling when they face Parker High School this week. Taking a look at some of the other scores from this past weekend, Buchholz bested Riverview Sarasota 53-31 to remain undefeated. Meanwhile, Eastside shut out Keystone Heights 35-0, and Pearson Taylor defeated St. Francis 40-18. Folks, the Gators volleyball team is taking the college volleyball world by storm. Last Sunday, Florida swept the number 5 ranked Minnesota Gophers in front of an electric crowd at the O'Connell Center. The Gators are undefeated to start the season, with 3 of their 4 wins coming against a top 8 ranked opponent. Alexis Stuckey played a major role in this match, accounting for 32 of Florida's 44 assists. The Gators are now ranked number 3 in the country. They'll go for another win against Sacramento State this Thursday in the Gator Invitational. That's it for sports. Reporting for WUFT, I'm Bradley Shimel.
Thanks, Bradley. Let's get one last check on our weather. Derrah, take it away.
We have another batch of Starlink rockets being launched on Friday, but we're going to be watching for that rain. Right now, there's a 90% chance that it will lift off, but as that cold front approaches and ups our rain chances through the weekend, we'll be watching that for impacts. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to continue to cool down temperature-wise. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Derrah. BBC World News is next, and PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WFT.org. Have a great night.